Can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you now.
Oh,
Good.
perfect.
Okay,
Good.
we can hear you too.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, I'll introduce. I am Fred. This is Wayne, and Jim is over here. He's the one who did all the setup.
I'm just looking to make sure that we're recording.
We're just checking that we are recording.
Um, more.
One second here while Jim
Yeah.
checks on something.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna have to switch. Oh yeah, it is recording. Okay.
Good.
Sorry.
Okay, well, good morning, sir. It's an honor to speak to you. So we are here at the
I can't
Military
hear you.
Museum in Saratoga, and we have
Press something. I can't.
we have the honor of speaking to Irving Robert Miller, who goes by Bob.
Oh. Testing. 1, 2, no, they can't hear me.
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Anyway, today is January 7, 2026, and we are interviewing Bob Miller, a World War II veteran, age 102, God bless. And we are eager to hear what you have to tell us about your service in the war. These interviews, by the way, generally go for about an hour, but, you know, we're flexible. But I guess at the start, I should tell you, by the way, my wife went to the same high school that you went to.
Oh, Mepham?
Mepham, yes. Yeah, she graduated in high school in 1977.
Oh, wow.
But I saw that on the sheet. I thought it's a small world.
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay, so I guess we'll start by just asking you to tell us your story. I see you entered the service in January of 1941. So how did that come about?
My parents had 4 girls, and they wanted a boy. When our boy came, they spoiled him rotten. So one day my father says, I think we'll put you in the Navy. It'll straighten you out. I think it did.
Oh, good.
Although at first I tried to straighten out the Navy.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about where you started and what happened earlier on, and then you can go from there. So where were you sent to initially?
Well, we were sent to boot camp in Rhode Island, and that's where I learned all about the Navy, which I had already known quite a bit about the Navy since when I was 13, I joined the Junior Naval Reserve and had to go to Freeport, Long Island, and that's where they taught me a lot of things which were a great help when I went into the Navy.
Now, when you joined, I see from what you sent us, you were being given training as a mechanic of some sort?
Yes, but that was quite a little into it. If you want to start at the wait, yeah. Before I went into the Navy, my father sent me to Delahanty Institute in Manhattan to learn machinist, and I loved it. And I said, "Oh boy, that's what I want to do when I get out," because I could measure 1/10,000th of an inch, and it was just amazing that I could make anything out of a piece of metal, and it was really what I liked to do. So now, when I went into the Navy, they promised me after boot camp they would send me to service school, machinist in Great Lakes, Illinois, and that's where I went, and that's where I spent I don't know how many weeks there, but what happened was, first of all, I must tell you, I'm Jewish.
Okay, well, so are we.
So are we.
So are we.
Okay. So when this chief petty officer didn't know I was Jewish, and he's telling me about all these goddamn Jews from Brooklyn, and I decked them.
Oh,
Oh,
boy.
Yeah. So if you do anything wrong, the first thing they do is put you in the brig. I was in the brig for 5 days on bread and water. They fined me $10, which in those days was a lot of money because I only made $21 a month, and you automatically are sent to sea. Oh, by the way, they also demoted me to apprentice seaman. That's as low as you can get.
Hmm.
So now I'm on my way to Norfolk, Virginia, by train, to go on board the battleship Wyoming. Should I tell you about that one?
No?
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah. You wrote about it. Yeah.
Okay. I was amazed when I went on board. They said, for your battle station, you'll be second loader on an anti-aircraft gun, but your job will normally be as captain of the petty officer's head. Now that's the latrine.
right.
So I figured, oh boy, they're getting back at me. So what happened was, when after working all day at the, all the jobs that we had to do, like scraping paint and whatever, we had to wash up. So we were issued a bucket of salt water and saltwater soap. And at the stern of the ship, there was a terracotta tile floor, round, with a drain in the middle. And that's where we would first use the salt water to wet ourselves down, and then the saltwater soap, and of course, then the water to rinse ourselves off, and we still felt clammy. So now they're giving me the job of taking care of the petty officer's head. And they says, now here's what you do. You got to use these, and this is where they're kept, and you got to keep it clean, and you got to do this, you got to do that. And I said, oh, yeah, sure, absolutely, which I had no intention of doing. But anyhow, next thing I know, I had to take a shower. The shower in the petty officer's head was real water. Wow, I felt human again. And I kept that place spotless. I didn't want them to take that job away from me. And it was really wonderful. Then one day they came to me and said, pack your bag, you're getting transferred. And I said, please don't transfer me. I like it here. They thought I was nuts. Anyhow, they transferred me to this a combination minesweeper, mine layer, submarine chaser, and escort vessel that we would patrol the coast and keep the enemy submarines from sinking these ships that we were protecting up and down.
Let me ask you one question. Had
Sure.
Pearl Harbor happened yet?
No.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Okay. So what I think I'll tell you about the interesting things that happened.
Yeah.
We would have my mind isn't what it used to be. But anyhow, we would train in the morning and at night, dusk and dawn, because that's when the submarines like to attack. So in the morning, they sat at general quarters. I happened to be at the wheel, which I was steering the ship, and I just went outside to the starboard wing, is the right wing of the ship, where my 50 caliber machine gun was, and they would strap me in, and then the guy would come and put all the cartridges on that clip on the top and clamp it in, and then we would train in the sky for the at the birds as if they were airplanes, then at the water as if they were porpoise or whatever, and there in my sight, it was very rough in the North Atlantic, and I could see through the trough, which is the bottom of the wave, the spinning propellers of the torpedoes coming straight at us. And I started shooting. And they tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is only a drill." And I kept shooting and I didn't stop, and that thing exploded. Oh, before it hit the ship. And that was amazing.
Who had fired the torpedoes?
The submarine, that was it was a German submarine. They call them U-boats. That they were sinking. We weren't even at war with them, and they
Right.
were sinking our ships up and down the East Coast.
Right, but you said it was a drill.
Yes, every morning at dawn and every evening at dusk, we would have the drill. You know, make believe this and make believe that. But there in the middle of everything, I could see this torpedo coming at us. The enemy didn't know it was a drill.
So it was a real firing.
Oh, and how?
Okay, so did you get a commendation for that or something? You should have been the hero of the ship.
Oh, well, it didn't
you
work
see?
out that way.
Oh.
We had 3 machine guns on that ship, one on the port side and one on the starboard. I was on the starboard. And then between the smokestacks, there was another one that could get both sides. Now, as far as I know, I was the only one shooting. But next thing you know, when that thing exploded, the machine gunner from the middle between the smokestacks says, "I got it." So
So he
I
got the
didn't
credit?
care. Yeah. So I didn't care who got it as long as we were still alive.
Right.
Amazing.
I can tell you one more story on the Raven if you don't want to waste
Yeah.
time.
No,
Yeah, go
you're.
ahead.
This is all fine. This is good.
We're off the coast of North Carolina, and this is we've never dropped a depth charge before. We had 300-pound depth charges on board, and we saw a German submarine out there, and we made a flank right turn and headed full speed out to get that submarine. And of course, he started to go under. Now, as we got over him, we dropped a pattern of 4, and that's how it works. First port, starboard, and port, starboard. And then normally you're supposed to make a circle and come back over that same spot and drop 4 more. But what happened was, since it was shallow off the coast of North Carolina, the back end of the ship rose up out of the water and slid down like a sliding pond. And now our rudder is jammed hard to port and we're going in circles. Now, it took a while to get everything straightened out and back to normal. And the thought came to my mind, that German submarine out there says, "Look at those dummies. They think we're over there. They're going around in circles trying to depth charge us." So anyhow, by the time we got it all fixed, there was no more pinging in the sonar gear. So we continued escorting our convoy up to Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Okay, that's the important things that happened. Except that the Raven really was the place where I became a first-class seaman, not only in rate, but also in my mind and in my heart, because they had me steering the ship, and when they got new men on board, I would have to teach them how to steer. They gave me, there was one other coxswain. A coxswain is like the captain of the motor launch. He's responsible for everybody on that launch to get to wherever you're going and come back safely. So here they made me a captain of the motor launch. And that was really amazing. And I never let them down. Okay, now.
So how long were you on the mission in the North Atlantic like that?
Let's see, I was probably, it must have been 17. Because the war didn't start until my birthday when I became 18.
Right.
So we would patrol from Nova Scotia to the Panama Canal, trying to keep all our ships safe.
Okay.
Okay?
I have a question on depth charges. The
Yes.
depth charges are set to go off at a certain level underneath, like 300 feet?
No, what it is, they have on the side of it a dial. So they have a tool that sets the depth. They set it for whatever depth they want it, because
Right.
it could be out where it's very deep, or it could be, we're here, it was shallow. And this was the first time we were dropping depth charges. So they didn't know really how to set it. So what happened was when it exploded, the pressure off the bottom would push the back of the ship up to make that sliding time.
So if it hits the bottom before it reaches the depth it's supposed to explode at, it'll just sit there. It won't be exploded.
If it's set for deeper than the
Right.
depth, yeah, but this wasn't.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So how long were you on the Raven?
About a year, and I was seasick all the time.
Oh, no. And what happened
Oh,
after
by
the
the
Raven?
way, I didn't tell you something about the Raven. Since I was seasick all the time, I got a bucket, which is a pail, and put my name on it. And when I was in steering the ship, I had it secured to the mast outside. So every time I was ready to do something, I would tap the officer on the shoulder. He'd grab the wheel, I'd run out, do what I had to, and come back and continue.
Oh, no. And were there a lot of others on the ship who were often seasick?
I had no idea. All I was concerned with was me.
Right. Okay. So what happened after the Raven?
What happened was we after patrolling and they were the other things I didn't tell you, which I'm not sure I should. That when they were building the Raven, they were sabotaging it. They were building it in the Navy Yard in Virginia, and everything was wrong with the ship. The gearbox was full of nuts and bolts. The compass was going in the wrong direction. There were so many things that were wrong, and each thing the crew had to correct and make it right. And we didn't know it was sabotage. We pulled into some place along the coast, and in their newspaper, it said that our ships are being sabotaged.
Who were sabotaging it?
Those men that were working on it.
Right. Why?
I didn't ask them.
That's a shame.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard about some of the work not being up to par, but sabotage is horrible.
Yeah, well, what I think it might have been is, that this country didn't want to go to war. And there might have been somebody who wanted to make sure we didn't go to war. So who knows? But anyhow, to continue on with my story with the Raven, this is, we're pulling into Norfolk, Virginia, and they set off general quarters. All hands man your battle stations. And I get up to my battle station, and the guys strap me in and putting the cartridges on the top. And I said to him, somebody's going to get in big trouble doing that for my birthday. It was December 7th.
Oh, no.
December 7th.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
So you found out about Pearl Harbor on your birthday.
right.
I just see this on the sheet.
Pearl Harbor. I never heard of it because that was in the Pacific, and I had only been in the Atlantic. So,
Right.
yeah. Okay.
So what happened after Pearl Harbor?
They said to me, pack your gear, you're getting transferred when we pulled into Norfolk. And it seems like they needed men to man these escort carriers that they were building. It takes too long to build a regular carrier, but the escort carriers, they could turn them out very fast, and they needed men to man these carriers. That they needed crews, they needed squadrons, they needed airplanes, they needed everything, and that's what happened. So they transferred me into this squadron. It's a fighter squadron. It has a number which doesn't mean anything to you, VGF 28.
Right.
Now, I found out later that the aircraft carrier Chenango, which is also an escort carrier, they were the number on them was CVE 28. So I didn't realize that the two of them would eventually match together. So anyhow, so meanwhile, our pilots have to be trained on how to land and take off. And so they have a signal officer, and they sent us out to Drivers, Virginia, where I think it was a cornfield. Now it was all grass, and it was much longer than a big carrier. But anyhow, so they had the signal officer teaching the new pilots how to land on a carrier. So what the signal officer would do, let them know if they're too high or too low, too fast or too slow. And then he'd give them the cut when he felt they were just right. And they would cut back on the throttle, and they would come down and land on the field. But they wouldn't stop the propeller. They would give it the gun again, take off to come around for another try. And that's what was where they were taught. Now, they said, okay, you're ready to go on a real carrier. So first thing they did is they sent the aircraft carriers, the pilots, to the Ranger. And here they were learning to land and take off on a big full-size carrier. But they made too many accidents, so they sent us back to Drivers, Virginia. Next thing you know, they sent us back to, now it's a converted Liberty ship, I believe, called the Charger. I forget what it was exactly, but it was, anyhow, they would teach, all they did, they cruised in Chesapeake Bay, and our planes would learn to land on and take off. Too many accidents. So they sent us back to Drivers. Now, a couple of weeks later, we're going back to the Charger. And I says, they didn't have enough time to learn. Anyhow, we found out that all the planes and the squadrons and the fighter squadrons, and there were two squadrons, fire and search. And the search were good for bombing and torpedoing and things like that, or dive bombing. But the fighters only had one job, and that is to protect the ships, to protect the other planes, to protect the convoys we were in. That's what the fighters were for. Okay. Is that enough, or you want more?
No.
Yeah, no, so while you're doing this, do you see a change in the aircraft? I mean, are they constantly updating the aircraft, making it faster, slower, et cetera, because we're in wartime now?
No, this was too early
Okay.
in the war. And we only had what they call the F4F fighter, which is, of course, it has one pilot, but, and then the wings had cranks in them, and we would have to, when they would land on the carrier, we would have to loosen them up and fold the wings, and so they would be attached with a pole to the body of the of the airplane. And that's what we were supposed to do on this trip to, we didn't know that we were headed to Bermuda until after we left through the submarine gates. And because they were afraid we would tell somebody while we were on leave where we were going or what we were doing or what ship we were on or any of that. So nothing was said until after we got out into the Atlantic Ocean, the rough and ready Atlantic Ocean. Anyhow, so now we have to put, the pilots have to practice takeoff and landing. So they had an officer that would get them to wind up their propeller, and he'd point down the deck and they'd go flying down. But it was so rough out there that the bow of the ship went up and down. And so now the first plane that took off went straight into the ocean because the bow was down. And they were really upset with that. But they didn't care about losing the plane, but they didn't want to lose the pilot. Now, in the back of every carrier, off to the right, which is the starboard side, there would be a destroyer. And if anyone from the ship went into the ocean, they would be able to pick them up and save them. And that was the main thing. Okay, so now they figured it out now. So the next plane, he figured it out so that when the bow was up, that the plane would be at the end of the flight deck. And sure enough, the plane took off and it was flying and everybody was yelling and happy and there was a lot going on. But now all the planes are up and now they have to land. So now as they're going to land, am I going too much?
No,
No.
this is great. It's fascinating.
So now as they come to land, the back of the ship is also going up and down. So now when the plane is at the right height and the right speed and everything was good, the landing signal officer would give them a cut and they would cut their throttle. But what happened was now where the flight deck was only a couple of feet from the plane, now the back dropped down and it was a big distance and the landing gear went out from under. And they said, oh, we can't do this. We're going to lose all our planes. So they went ahead and ordered all the planes to go ahead and fly to Bermuda because that's where we were headed for.
Okay. Now I see from what you sent us later on, I guess in 1942, you were on the Suwannee and you were involved in the invasion of North Africa.
That's what's coming next.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead with that?
Okay. Now, since the Navy was in big trouble and didn't build any aircraft, or I think they only took a cruiser and converted it, and that went to the Pacific. But we had 7 carriers when the war broke out. And what happened was they needed, for the invasion of Morocco, Africa, North Africa. And what happened was they took 4 SO oil tankers and converted them to aircraft carriers. Actually, they were escort carriers. Now, the escort carriers are not supposed to go into battle. But in this case, they were needed desperately. So when we got to off the coast of Morocco, and it was time for the invasion, by the way, what's his name? Patton was on one of those ships that were in our convoy, and he was dropped off about 50 miles south of Casablanca, and he would come up from the south because we divided into three parts this invasion of ours. There was us that were going straight in with the we're going straight in, and then there's Patton, which is one of the other aircraft carriers. He's coming in from the south, and then there's the Chenango, which is not ready for battle or have fighters or anything. What they were doing, they carried about 70, I think, or 76. 76 Army fighter planes. And when the airfield was taken up there, then the planes would go in and fly in, and they would take over the airfield. Okay. Oh, so with the Suwannee. So now we're on the Suwannee, and we're at the big aircraft carrier, and we were doing. First of all, we were taught they didn't know whether they would shoot back or not, because a lot of pamphlets were dropped, and they had them in different languages. They had them in Moroccan, French, and I think American. I'm not sure about that. But anyhow, so they dropped these leaflets letting the people know that, don't worry, we're not coming to do them harm. We're coming to free them from the Vichy enemy. So next thing you know, they told us not to fire unless they fire first. Excuse me, gotta blow my nose.
And I gather that initially they did fire on the Americans, unfortunately.
Yes, they fired first.
Yes.
And now the order was given, batter up, which meant we can fire back as long as they fired first. And that's what happened.
Right.
We lost a lot of planes, and they lost a lot of planes. And it was the first time in history that we had been fighting against our own planes, because before Hitler took over France, and we had been training the escadrille, and we gave them all kinds of planes, fighters, bombers, and things like that, which they needed to fight the Germans. But the Germans, when they took over, they still had all those planes, except the ones that the escadrille did a lot of damage to the German Air Force, and they shot down a lot of their planes, and they also lost a lot of their pilots. But anyhow, so what happened was when Patton was on the outskirts of Casablanca, ready to come in, Casablanca surrendered. So now he can come in, as on a victory march. But we were in trouble with the airport where the Army planes were supposed to go, because we didn't want their planes to take off or land there. So we bombed a lot of holes in it. So now our planes have to go there. And so what they did is they sent one of the planes from the Chenango to check it out. So he found out that it was impossible, with all the holes in the runways and all the grass being filled with water. So I don't know why he couldn't call them from his plane, but he had to run down to the dock and get one of the ships to tell the Chenango not to send the rest of the planes. Too late.
Right.
All the planes were already off the ship, in the air, headed for the airport.
Huh.
So many of them were damaged, the propellers, the engines, the landing gear. It was a disaster.
Right.
But anyhow, now since it was resumed, since Casablanca surrendered, now we could get out of there and head back to Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay.
But there was a typhoon or a hurricane out there in the ocean, and very rough and terrible. And many of the ships had damage done to it. But the Chenango, am I going too long with this?
No, actually, I think when you finish with this, we'll talk about, I think it looks like you were involved in the invasion of southern France.
Oh, well, that's much later.
Okay.
Because the next ship was the Chenango.
Okay. So tell us about that.
Okay. We got back to Norfolk, Virginia, and we had a few days leave. And meanwhile, the Chenango had been as if it had been through a war. It was so damaged and beat up from the hurricane, and they had to rebuild the flight deck. And anyhow, so when it finally it was ready, we came home and we boarded the Chenango, and we hoisted all the planes on board. Now we hoisted both squadrons on board. Before it was only the fighters. Now it's the fighters and the bombers, and anyhow. So now there's 2 squadrons allowed on board, and we headed out the submarine gate for the Panama Canal because we were headed to the Pacific War Zone. Okay.
Okay. So you went to the Pacific, and then later on is when you were involved in the invasion of southern France, because that would have been in 1944.
Yeah. Okay. You don't want me to talk about Guadalcanal?
No.
Oh, no,
No, please
absolutely.
do.
Yes.
It just,
Okay.
I was going to say, it sounds like they sent you all over the world, like from North Africa to the Pacific and then back to Europe.
That's what the Navy does.
I guess so. Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
we got out to this island, Ifedi, which is in the war zone, and they had several airfields on this island. And next thing you know, they said that the Marines have a squadron of B-25 bombers that are scheduled to go to Guadalcanal, Henderson Field at Guadalcanal, and most of them are not in working order. They need a mechanic. So they sent me over there, which I thought they just loaned me to them. And I got them all going except one, which I scavenged all the parts from. And now this Marine squadron can go to Guadalcanal. And the colonel, I think it was an Army colonel, he said to me, he says, "You did such a fantastic job. I'm going to take you up for a ride." And he had a Piper Cub. And I couldn't imagine why would he have a Piper Cub. And in fact, our ship, the Chenango, had a Piper Cub. And it was very confusing. But I just did what I was told. So he took me up, and we're flying around, and it didn't feel right, or it didn't sound right. So when we got down, I took it apart, and sure enough, the valves were warped. And I figured out that on this island, all they had was 100-octane gasoline, and the Piper Cub only takes, I think it was 70 octane, and it warped the valves. So I went ahead and I cleaned up the whole engine, and I ordered new valves. And next thing I know, the ship said, I heard the ship was returning to the States. Excuse me. Uh, I'm in sad shape. But anyhow, uh, so the Army colonel says, "Oh no, he's staying with me. I need him." And the ship said, "Well, he's got to go back to his squadron because that's where he was on." So I was transferred back to my squadron on the Chenango, and we were ordered back to the States to train a new squadron. And I didn't know why, because the old one was doing so well, and that they were complimented over and over. But I found out that they were building all these new carriers, and they need ships and squadrons and pilots and seamen and everybody to man these new escort carriers that are being built. Okay, should I carry on?
Yes. Okay. So
Yes, yes.
So what happened after you were shipped back to the States?
Okay, we returned to San Diego. I didn't tell you about Hawaii. That'll only take a short second.
Mhm.
We stopped in Hawaii, and the flags were waving, and the people were singing, and the hula skirts were going, and it was amazing. And what all these people were yelling and screaming, "Welcome back!" And it was just amazing. But anyhow, we took off from there and headed back to the States. At San Diego, there was one person on the dock, and he was the one who would take our horses and put them on the davit so that the ship could tie up. And that was a little disappointing. Okay, so now they are transferring all these people, but I didn't tell you about I was a third. They had given me. I didn't earn it, but they had given me a third class mechanic, which is an aviation machinist made third class. And what happened was uh, I didn't like the idea that I didn't work for it. And so now I'm studying, and I received I'm studying hard all these books. There were so many of them, and I had to pass each one, and I became a aviation machinist made second class. And I said, good, I did that on my own. Now, on the long trip coming back from the war zone, I was studying for first class. So I was doing all the work for first class, and it was amazing. How could they put so much work into this? Anyhow, I, oh, damn it, excuse me. Uh, oh, so next thing I know, we're in San Diego, and everybody's getting transferred. And they came to me and says, "Bob, you just passed aviation machinist mate first class, and you got the highest mark ever received."
Wow.
It was with a 3.7. I don't know what 3.7 was, but anyhow. And so naturally, with pride, I went ahead and sewed on my chevron to my uniform, and I got transferred with 30 days leave, which I went home to New York. Anyhow, I'm gonna have to blow my nose. Okay, so now my 30 days leave are up, and I'm headed back to Seattle, Washington. And I arrived there. It was, I think, the day before I was supposed to check in. And I met some of the guys, and we went to town, And next thing I know, came the day to check in, which I did. And I'm very proud of my first class stripes. And anyhow, uh, these carriers were built by Kaiser.
Mhm.
Uh, Kaiser wanted to build aircraft. He was building the Liberty ships, and he was building them faster than the enemy could sink them, which was great. So now he went to the Navy and says, "I'd like to build you 50 aircraft carriers, escort carriers." And they said no. They turned him down. He had a friend who went to President Roosevelt, and Roosevelt said, yes, he will. He promised to build those 50 aircraft carriers in 50 weeks. How is that possible? Anyhow, he did it. And the way he did it is he didn't build like everyone else from the keel up, and then build the engine room in the first floor, second floor, third, and so forth. He built everything in modules. He built the bow in one. I think he had 7 or more. What do you call them? Where the empty water where they build the ships. But anyhow, so he had, I think, 7 of them there. And just recently I learned that he also had a shipyard in California where he built ships. So he was an amazing man. So he built them in modules. He built the bow in one place. He built the stern in another. He built all these different compartments elsewhere. He built the engine room in one place. It was amazing how he took all these pieces and put them together. And the other aircraft carrier says, those doing that are no good. He's not doing it the way we do it. But he did something else. All the other ships were riveted. They had holes that had to be riveted to the stringers inside. And anyhow, but he had it welded, and he had these automatic machines that knew exactly where the weld went through. And then, of course, they would check them out and everything, and they were perfect. They were beautiful. They did very well. So he did build those carriers. Now, they sent me, I was eventually supposed to go on the escort carrier Tulagi. They named all these after battles. So what happened was, first, I couldn't understand why they had us train on 2 of their previously built aircraft carriers. The first one I know was the Casablanca, because that's where we were for the invasion. Anyhow, so I forget the name of the other one, Canadian Bay or something. But anyhow, and now while I'm up here in Maine, I realized why they did that. Every ship has a lot of ladders going from deck to deck, a lot of passageways that you had to go through, and you had to learn where the food was being served. You had to know how to get there. You had to know how to get to your fight deck or the hangar deck or wherever you were assigned to be. And the faster they taught us, the faster we would move. And next thing you know, it was like Mother Nature. Uh, if you're going on a passageway or a ladder, a stairway, uh, if you're going in the wrong direction and everything else is coming toward you, you're in big trouble. So there's
makes
so
sense.
much you have to learn about where to go and what to do. And so those two carriers really did a wonderful job, because now our Tulagi is the same carrier, and we know where to go and what to do and everything else. So that's what happened. Now um, we get to the Tulagi. You ready for that one?
Yes.
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 Am I wasting too much
No,
time?
no. And is that the one that you were on when you participated in the invasion of southern France?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay. Uh, they put us on the Tulagi. Now we knew exactly where to go and what to do, and on every command we were in the right place at the right time. And now we were headed out to sea, and everybody on the ship was seasick except me.
Oh, that's unusual considering what you said earlier.
Oh wow, it was just amazing that here. Oh, excuse me. Uh, uh, okay, so here they're all sick, and I'm not, and I couldn't figure out why. But I figured the Raven was such a small ship, and it was doing such ups and downs and sideways. It was just amazing. Oh, I'm a mess. Anyhow,
Okay.
so now we get on board, and I'll eliminate all the trial runs we went to, which were Hawaii and the West Coast, all the different ports on the West Coast, and we went through the Panama Canal to excuse me. Oh,
God bless you.
thank you. Oh, I'm sorry about the cold. Well, whatever it is.
It's cold in general. You need to take a break for a minute?
Uh, oh, I think I'm ready.
I'm just admiring your house in the background there. It looks like a very sturdy home.
Oh, my jacket. That's the medals that I wear when I go to meetings.
Oh, by the way, I think, was it you or someone said something about how you had a meeting with the senator recently?
That's me. You're probably wondering.
I don't know.
Did you have a meeting or a Zoom communication with a senator recently?
Oh, yes, the Senator of Maine.
What was that all about?
Uh, he heard about me, and he wanted me
Bless you.
to tell my story, just like I'm telling you.
Oh. And
Okay.
was he going to publicize it?
Yeah, he put it in the, I think it was,
Maybe in the congressional record or?
ah,
Bless you.
thank you. He, I think he said it would end up in the Washington, D.C. Record
Right.
where they keep all this for World War II.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wasting time.
That's okay.
Okay. No, okay, now.
So you were on the Tulagi.
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened?
I think you were talking about
I did something.
I'm sorry?
I screwed up here. Oh,
No, you're still fine.
okay.
It's still fine. Okay, so you were talking about being on the Tulagi.
Okay. Uh, we go through the Panama Canal and we go up the coast to Rhode Island, where we took on a new squadron that had never been made before. It was VOF-1. This squadron, the pilots had been pilots on PBYs. You know what they are?
Yes.
They're flying boats. They land in the water and pick up men that are fell off a ship or blown off a ship or whatever. But anyhow, so these pilots were PBY pilots. So now they want to make them fighter pilots. So they went ahead and they trained them to be fighter pilots, which was very good. And these are with the new Grumman fighter planes, the F-6F 5s. They were the newest and the best of the fighter planes, and they learned on that. They learned how to fight, and now they're sent out to the Midwest, where they're taught by the Army how to tell the battleships and the cruisers whether their shells are too long or too short, or too left or too right. Anyhow, what the heck am I doing with this?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Yeah.
So we now they came back and they had to learn something else, and I don't remember what it was. But anyhow, they were learning not only how to be fighter pilots, but how to direct the guns from the big ships. And why can't I remember the other part? Anyhow, so what happened was we take on this new squadron, which is VO for observation, VOS, and VOS-1, which is, since it was the first and only one ever made at that time. And not only that, but we picked up the Admiral Durgan. He was the captain of the that full-size aircraft carrier that was with us for the invasion of Africa. He was the captain on it, and evidently he did so well they made him an admiral. So now he's the admiral, and we're the head ship. And we're headed. There were about 100 ships that were leaving from the East Coast, but they didn't want the enemy to know what was happening. So what happened was, out of every port up and down the East Coast, a few ships would leave every day or two. I guess it depended on their speed, and we would all meet together out in the Atlantic, and that's what happened. We managed to get through the Atlantic. From what I understand, and I don't know if it's true, we only lost 2 ships by torpedoes on that whole trip that we made
That's
through,
amazing.
yeah, through the Atlantic to the
So that's when you were heading over to France?
right.
Okay.
So
So what was the invasion like when you had the invasion of southern France?
uh, southern France, oh my mind. Um, you know, we were off the coast of southern France, and we were getting ready to make the invasion, and that's what they proceeded with.
Right.
And our fighters were up there giving directions to the battleships and cruisers to knock out all these pillboxes and places that they were shooting at our landing parties from, and we we lost a lot of pilots, and oh God, I'm in trouble. Um,
And I see, is that when you got the commendation medal?
oh, right. Um, I forgot to tell you that when we got to the to Tulagi, they made me chief, not chief. They made me petty officer in charge of all the crew on the flight deck. Now, I made many changes because I didn't like the way they put the plane on the catapult, so I changed it. To make a long story short, we the admiral yelled down from the bridge, "Miller, are we going to get all these planes off in 15 minutes?" And I says, "What's the extra 5 minutes for?"
Very funny.
He
Excellent.
laughed so hard I thought he'd fall off the bridge.
That's terrific.
Anyhow, we broke the fleet record that day, and it was just amazing. But you know, it's not just me. Everyone working to get that plane to be shot off on the catapult took a lot of people. You know, there were people above it where there was a seaman that hooked up the holdback to the back of the plane, and then it would move forward till it would get tight. And then he had a seaman under the plane near that spinning propeller, putting the harness on, which is a cable, one connected to each side, so that cable can sling the plane off to the air. And that's what happened. They did a fantastic job. Even the crew working the catapult, which were under the deck, did an amazing job. Anyhow,
Well, that's
so
great. Now, we don't want to keep you too much longer. So I know after that you were returned to the Pacific, right?
right, we went to the Pacific.
You want to tell us about what happened when you were returned? Because I gather you were involved in the invasion, the
Philippines.
the recapture of the Philippines and so forth, right?
Yeah. So that's what we really did. We went to the Pacific War Zone, and we did several invasions, and Oh, what happened? Damn it, I lost it again.
Well,
Oh,
you had some scrapes with kamikazes, I saw.
oh yeah. Uh, it's okay if I tell you, even though I'm not on the, God, why did I screw up? Okay.
We'd be
Uh,
interested to hear because you said that that was one of the times when you were most under fire, that the kamikazes were attacking one of the ships you were on.
yeah. I printed up something about the 14 days that we were on our way to the Philippines.
Right.
And
I remember you sent that.
and that was amazing. The ships that was sunk, they told us that they had 1,000 suicide planes waiting for us.
Right.
And I knew
Yeah.
as we passed through two islands. What did I do now? Oh damn! Well, can you still see me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
We
So, I see this was early in 1945.
yeah, was it 40? Yeah, 45, right?
Right.
And what happened was the kamikazes, they came at us every hour, every day, oh shit. Here we go. I'm going to keep my hands off the table.
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, what happened was all these battles that they say we were in many, many, many more, because from what I understood, that in order for it to be a battle, we had to be there for 30 days or more. And we weren't, because the suicide planes were attacking us every day, every hour. They would have to probably give out 1 million medals. So I'm not sure what the story is. So anyhow, so
Because I
we
see in what you sent us about the situation there that there were 2 explosions and many people were killed. It sounds like a horrible situation.
we lost a lot of pilots, and they lost a lot of men. And what happened was one of our pilots was shot down, and he was captured by the Germans. And what happened was the Germans saw that they were going to lose everything, so they gave themselves up. So I think there were about 300 Germans that gave themselves up to this pilot. And
Germans or Japanese?
these are Japanese.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Right.
Yeah. In fact, one of the planes we shot down was not far away from us, and the pilot, the Japanese pilot, was in the water. We sent a boat out to pick him up, and he kept saying, "Is this the Chenango? Is this the Chenango?" Evidently, they knew the names of all our ships,
Wow.
and this was the one he was supposed to have sunk. So, anyhow, we did. The Philippines was really bad. Then, of course, there was Iwo Jima and Okinawa.
Right.
And Okinawa had many islands. So we not only did Okinawa, which is on the, I think it's the Fiji Islands. My mind is gone.
That's okay.
Uh,
Now, where were you when the war came to an end?
Good question. We were ordered back to the West Coast, and there we did a lot of things. like we went to firefighting school, and there were many things that we did there that took us swimming. Um, um, we went for swimming examinations, and of course I passed everything with flying colors. But then came time, and the war ended while we were there. And
And then you stayed in the service for another couple of years afterwards?
well, do we have enough time for a sad story?
Well, we can hear one story about that, sure.
Okay. Remember I told you how I got the highest mark?
Right.
Was a 1.7 for my first class.
Right. That's
when
3.7, right.
From when the war was over, the ship was headed to Hawaii. I don't know whether it's to pick up the personnel that were there or the planes that were there, but whatever it was. And when we got to Hawaii, and I got off the ship, and I said to them, when does my pay increase to first class? And they said, well, let's go take a look. He comes back and he says, you are demoted to third class petty officer for telling an untruth. I didn't have a chance to say anything about what was the untruth or anything about it. So they left me there in Hawaii, and next thing you know, I'm on the Aviation Machinist. It was a ship, the Aviation Machinist. Anyhow, all this ship did, it was the damn it, USS. I don't remember. All this ship did was to take these old airplane engines and remake them into new airplane engines. They had all the machinery to do that on board. And the next thing I know, I'm being transferred to I think it's no, no.
No, that's okay. We like to finish these interviews by asking about how you think your service impacted the rest of your life.
Well, for 65 days, I never talked about it.
I mean, 65 years.
65 years, right?
Right.
And
Now,
and
why is that?
It was so horrible that I don't think anybody that was in World War II talked about it when they got home, because I asked so many people, and all of them said, my dad never said anything.
Right. I've heard that too.
Yeah. So now the problem is, I couldn't stop then. Now I can't stop now. I couldn't stop now. Telling the story of leaving out the bad stuff, the bodies and the arms and the head and the legs and all that stuff, and just telling the story the best I could, and that's what happened. Since I wanted to go to OCS, I felt that they wouldn't want me for telling an untruth.
Yeah. So what was the untruth? I mean, what was the untruth?
The untruth was, many years later, I had sent away my service record. And on my service record, on one page, it said, that I passed with flying colors with a 3.7. And on another page, it says, but I didn't complete it somehow. Uh, I don't remember exactly what it says, but they say I wasn't a first class petty officer. I was a second class petty officer. And that's why they broke me down to third class petty officer.
Quite honestly, that sounds like such bullshit.
Yeah, it probably was. Yeah. Um, I really wanted to go to OCS, which is Officers Candidate School.
Yeah, Bob, quite honestly, looking at what everything you did, everything you accomplished, that wonderful story about the admiral. This is a wonderful record. It's a wonderful record of service to your country. The thing is, you should feel very proud about that.
Uh, I am proud, and I want everybody to know uh, what my story is uh, before I'm gone, which is probably sooner than I think.
I think it's wonderful. One last question.
But
Did you run into anti-Semitism in the service?
um, I always felt that a lot of the trouble I was in was because I was Jewish. But uh, I don't know. It could have been another reason. But I feel that many of the things that I had to do extra duty for, um, they not, how can I not relieve somebody on watch? Somebody has to come and wake me up. And if they didn't wake me up, I would sleep. I'd be sleeping. Uh, I know only two reasons why uh, I got uh, problems. Was one, I ran the wrong color socks. Uh, uh, anyway, anyhow, I should the other one was. Oh, Uh, anyhow, I wish my head was in a better position to tell you all about my Navy story.
Well, as Wayne says, you served your country wonderfully.
I think it's very remarkable, all the
Great
things that you
distinction.
did, everything you achieved. I think it was great. I think it's a wonderful record, and you're on the record, and I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy this. And let me tell you something. I hope when I'm 102, I'm as good as you are.
Well, I really have to thank my son for that. First, he was in the Navy. He was on submarines. Uh, was
I think it's starting to fade.
Yeah,
a little.
I think it's fading out a little bit,
But
Robert.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for listening.
we thank you.
We thank you. It's a wonderful testimony to what you've achieved, and we thank you for your service. Clearly,
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you for sharing your story with us, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you. Have a good day. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Should I end the meeting?
Yeah.